I'm stuck in traffic. A year ago today, I went to the hospital because there was something wrong with me. A year ago today, I discovered clots and blood in my urine. And when I went to the emergency room, they did a few tests. They kept me on a stretcher outside in the hallway of the emergency room. I didn't even have a room yet. And I sat there for 3 hours. Until finally, somebody came up to me and said, "We don't know what's wrong with you, so we're gonna have to keep you overnight. So do what you need to do, make your phone calls, make your arrangements, let the people you know that you're not coming home tonight." And I had to call my wife and keep it together and tell her that they don't know what the issue is. So they said that I need to spend the night. They're gonna do some more tests in the morning, and don't worry, everything's gonna be fine. It's just, they just gotta check out and see what's wrong, and whatever it is, if I need surgery, I'll have it. No big deal. Just give Max a big hug and kiss for me, and you guys get some rest. And I'll see you tomorrow, okay? I even told her she didn't have to come in tomorrow. She's like, "No, of course I'm coming in tomorrow. I'm coming in first thing. I'll be there at 9 in the morning." I'm like, "Okay, just make sure you get some rest." At this time, our son Max was about 4 months old, about to be 5 months old. And when I woke up on Saturday morning, I was hooked up to these machines, the IV and heart monitor, and then I realized it was Saturday, and the next day was going to be Father's Day. And I was going to spend my Father's Day, my first Father's Day, in the hospital. And I can't explain what that does to you, especially when you're me, because my mind just goes to all these different places, and I imagine a life where everything's okay, and I imagine a life where everything's not okay, and then I imagine a life where I see my son grow up, and I imagine a life where I'm not there. So all that was running through my head, and I was still peeing blood, and now it was really starting to hurt. Like, there were clots coming out, and it was hurting. They couldn't bring a specialist in until Monday. So that means I had to spend the weekend there just chilling, waiting till something happened. And finally, Monday morning, I saw a specialist, and we did some more tests, and they found a mass in my bladder. He said it's a pretty big mass, and that they were gonna do a sort of a cystoscopy where they're gonna go inside, through my penis, through my urethra, and they were just gonna cut a piece of it and do a biopsy. He said if he could remove it, he will, but for the most part, what they know for sure that they can do right now is that they can take a piece of it and do a biopsy to find out what that mass is. The funny thing is, he's a doctor. He's a urologist. Everybody in the hospital, they have experience with this stuff. They knew what I had. And I was still out of the loop. It's what's going on in me. But of course, legally, they can't say anything to me because they're not legally obliged to freak me out, because I could sue them and I could slander and I can say all this stuff. But the funny thing is, there's the other side where when you keep me in the dark, all you do is upset me, you upset my wife, you upset my family. He couldn't even give me a guess. And when I asked people, what was it? Is it cancer? No one would say, because they're not allowed to. Because if they say it, they think I'm going to hold them accountable. Oh, she said I got cancer. He said I got cancer. Tuesday morning, I have the surgery, and I wake up, and the doctor says, hey, guess what? You had a huge mass. It was bigger than we thought. There were a couple little pieces in there too. But guess what? We got rid of it all. We got it all out. So it wasn't just a biopsy. They took everything out, and they were going to do a biopsy with what they got. And they pretty much said, hey, listen, it's Tuesday now. If you can pee comfortably with no blood in your urine by Wednesday morning, you can leave Wednesday afternoon or Wednesday evening. You can go home. So I said, that's great. And then come back on Friday and we'll give you the results of the biopsy. And then it was great to see Elena and tell her the news, and she was happy and I was happy, but we were still a little worried because we were wondering, what was it, or what is it? Is it still going to be a problem, because even though everything is gone, they got everything out, is there going to be some after effect? Am I going to have to come back for another surgery? Is this going to affect me in the long run? Will I be able to have kids again? Will, my penis still work? All these questions are running through your mind. And so I gave her a hug and a kiss goodnight, told her to go home. Showed me videos of Max. They brought Max to the hospital on a Sunday with a balloon. With a balloon that said Happy Father's Day. And Max, we were still in that period where mommy's his favorite, and he likes dad sometimes, because he sees mommy all the time, but he seemed like he was happy to see me. I know I was happy to see him. And then I had to say goodbye. And I wasn't sure of what was going to happen in this surgery. I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to see him grow up. If he would even get to know me. But worse, I really wanted to get to know him. I wanted to find out what kind of person he was going to be. I was hoping he'd be this really awesome person. I'll be good to people in a way that I never was. And he would make mistakes, and he would learn better than I ever did. So I said goodbye to Elena. I was looking forward to seeing her on Wednesday morning. And then Sunday night, for some reason, it kept getting more difficult to pee. And I was noticing more and more pressure building up in my bladder. I could feel it right on the walls, and it was pushing my penis. I felt like it was just gonna burst off of me. I was in so much pain. And then they started realizing that maybe I had more blood clot deposits from the surgery, blocking the urethra. So they said, okay, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna take a plastic syringe, we're gonna fill it with saline solution, we're gonna inject it into your penis through your urethra. And then we're gonna pull the syringe back and suck all the blood clot. And we're gonna keep doing this procedure until we see no more blood. And you should be fine. I can't explain to you the kind of pain I felt experiencing that. I've always thought of myself as a person who could handle pain, because I've handled a lot of different pains growing up, and I was never the strongest person, but there were times where the strongest guy in the room was complaining about a pain that I was going through, and I was just dealing with it. And that always made me feel good. You know, I was like, oh, okay, I could take pain, I could take it. This was insane. This was a pain that made my entire body clench, made me swallow my tongue. I lost weight just shivering, and I would get so tense. And I thought everything was fine after that first procedure. But surely enough, 20 minutes later, I'd start peeing, and then I'd feel that pressure again. They did this all night. They did this all night. Why? Because the specialist wasn't in. The specialist would not be in until the next day. So this procedure was being done to me all night and all morning, the following morning. And I didn't call Elena the entire night because I didn't want her to worry about me, because truthfully there's nothing she can do, and there's no sense in freaking her out more. But in the morning, I told her the deal. She came in, and as much as it hurt me to have her in the room for about 4 more of those same procedures, because during that time she could see and hear and feel and smell and experience all that awful pain that I was going through. Some of the nurses had to leave the room because they were crying. A medical student couldn't even do the procedure right after I gave them permission. Oh. And I had to calm her down. I had to tell her to take a minute, step outside, and breathe. I had to tell her that it wasn't her fault. If she can't do it, get somebody else who can. If you can do it, don't blame yourself. I'm gonna scream, I'm gonna hurt, but it's not your fault. And Elena was there holding my hand, trying not to cry, trying not to change her facial expression, trying to be strong for me, and she was, man. But I hated that she had to see that and hear that. You know, and it's not even a pride thing. It's not even like I wanted to look like a man in front of her. No, I just know how much she loves me and how much she cares about me and how much she never wants to see me in pain. And that was as bad as it gets. I mean, God forbid it could have been worse. But that is as bad as it's ever been in front of her. And she's seen me go through 2 knee surgeries after getting hit by a car. She's seen me with my face smashed up and my arm, my hand all messed up from a bike accident. She's seen me in some really, really, tough situations, and this was the worst. And she didn't deserve to see that, but she was there. She was my wife. She was my best friend. She is my best friend. And she was there with me through the whole thing. My brother and his wife showed up later, and they got to hear some of the screams from outside the room. And my brother comes back in beautiful, perfect Steven fashion, saying, I half expected you to scream, freedom! From Braveheart. After all that was done, the specialist came in and said, guess what? We got to go back in for surgery. We got to find out what's going on. It looks like you're still bleeding internally. And we got to go back in there and stop it, because nothing that we've been doing all night is working. So I go back under, see another anesthesiologist. I get strapped onto the metal crucifix, count down from 100. I go to sleep and I wake up, and there's a tube inside my penis, like this thick. And they tell me, yeah, I didn't heal properly, that I was still bleeding, that I was still developing clots, and it was just filling up in my bladder like Kool-Aid with chunks. And the bladder's only a certain size, man, and it was just filling up. So they had to cauterize my wounds, basically set my bladder walls on fire. It would stop bleeding. And then the next day I was able to go home, but that sucked, because I was attached to a catheter and I had to deal with that. But the good news was that I only had to deal with that for about a day and a half. And then Friday, I would go to the doctor, not only to have the catheter removed, but for them to give me the results of my biopsy and find out what happened. And then that's when he sits me down and he says, okay, bad news. You had cancer. It was cancer. Good news. We got it all. And you don't have it anymore. But just to be safe, we're going to do some treatments for the next 6 weeks. And every week you're going to come in and we're going to inject some beautiful purple medicine into your penis. It's going to go into your bladder. And hopefully after that, we'll do screenings every month. And then after 2 months, then we'll do every 2 months. And then after those 2 months, then we're going to do every 3 months. Then after those 3 months, we're going to do every 6 months. And we're going to do this for the next 3 years. And we're just going to keep checking in and finding out if it came back, if it didn't. Because he couldn't explain to me how I got this. He said the type of cancer I had usually occurs in people over the age of 65 who have a history of drinking and smoking from an early age all throughout their life. Now, I am a social drinker. I have had moments of binge drinking. I've smoked cigarettes. I mostly smoked weed, if I was smoking anything. But these were things that I did sporadically. And there were moments where I was getting high every day. I wasn't too crazy about myself then, but I explained all this to the doctor and he said that couldn't be it. We don't know what it is. Elena thinks maybe it was the energy drinks. Maybe it was all of the monsters I was drinking. So it's just funny, you know, a day like today. I'm done with work. I just parked the car. I'm about 100 feet away from my wife and my son. And I'm about to spend the weekend with them. And spend my first Father's Day at home. I thank God every day that everything turned out all right. I still have to get checked out and make sure everything's good. But I'm good. I'm good. It's just, I don't know where it came from. If you have any issues, any little feeling you might have about your body, because nobody knows your body better than you. And if you feel something's up, get yourself checked out. All right, I'm going inside. It's getting hot in here. I'm going to spend Father's Day weekend with my family. I love you guys. I love you all. Please treat each other with respect. Have a great weekend. And I'll see you next time, okay? Bye.